What's up? This is the Crusade podcast. I just want to preface this episode that you're about to listen to. It's kind of weird. So we had Andrew Chavez down again and Nick. They're both in my hometown. We were chatting in person, had a good conversation about Spider-Man, Nintendo, a couple other things. Unfortunately, as is sometimes the case, since we're all amateurs here, we had some technical difficulties and lost pretty much most of the podcast. There's about 12 minutes here that I was able to salvage before the issue occurred. It's us talking about Nintendo and some of their online policies. After that, we'll jump right into just Nick and I having a quick conversation about the upcoming Nintendo Direct. So it's a little messy. Things sound a little wacky, but here we go. Us now. What's up, everybody? This is the Crusade podcast. What do we talk? Video game news, retro video games. I'm with Nick Durheim as always.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, we're gonna make this as awkward as possible as always. And again, we were joined again. He's a regular old Crusader, Andrew Chavez.
What's up, Windows Defenders?
He's good callback.
Yeah.
You guys remember that from the last time we did the thing?
Fans of the genre.
Anyway, we're drinking iced coffee. We're drinking beer. It's 12 in the afternoon.
It's the Lord's Day.
I don't think 12 counts as the afternoon, does it? That's just the noon.
So it's 12:10. So it is 10 afternoon.
Okay. Okay.
just a little insight into how we're living our lives right now. But anyway,
It's 11 actually after 12.
let me give you guys.
Damn.
Oh wow! Let me give you guys a little a little insight into the burp Andrew just gave into the mic.
It didn't register on mine.
Oh, thank God. Podcast over. Podcast ruined. Nick's on his phone.
For a reason.
He's giving me this fucking look right now. This will all get cut out. So, you fellas came down to Eugene, my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
You know, initially I was supposed to be up in Portland, but Spider-Man,
I know.
Takes
over.
Yeah, so what happened was Thursday night, 9 o'clock, I went out and I got that fucking Spider-Man PS4 Pro. So crispy, so spicy.
The night before?
The night before, yeah.
Right, okay.
And then, it took me like 3 hours to get it set up. System transfer, install, friggin' download a patch, the whole 9 yards. So I didn't really get to play at all Thursday night. I said I was going to take work off Friday.
You lied.
I lied to you.
Yeah, we were sitting in your house for like 4 hours before you even came back, and you're just wearing this fucking polo shirt like a piece of shit.
Wow, man.
Had embroidery on it. Like, who are you?
Well, again,
Your monkey suit.
Sometimes a boy's got to do what a boy's got to do.
Yeah, I got to make that cheddar, I know.
And he did the thing, and I did the thing. But then we played Spider-Man for 2 straight days. Well, Dre and I played Spider-Man, and Nick watched and made funny comments about
Hit detection.
Ropes.
The ropes.
Context-sensitive buttons.
QTEs.
I was staying in town with a couple of QTEs.
Hey. That would be Andrew and I. What the fuck was that sound?
EJ?
What the fuck?
That wasn't Andrew this time.
Oh my God.
I'm not here to derail.
I have something to start off with because I wanted your hot take.
Before we even get into listener mail?
Before that.
Oh my God, here we go.
All right, so headline from Game Informer.
Oh God.
Multiple Switch games, including Pokemon, Splatoon, and Dark Souls, do not support cloud saves.
Oh, I fucking saw this.
And then Nintendo responded with an additional little insight into why they chose to do this.
I'm about ready to go off.
Okay. The vast majority of Nintendo Switch games will support save data cloud backup. However, in certain games, this feature would make it possible to, for example, regain items that had been traded to other players or revert to a higher online multiplayer ranking that had been lost. To ensure fair play, save data cloud backup may not be enabled for such games. To ensure that save data cloud backup cannot be used to unfairly affect online multiplayer rankings, the feature will not be enabled in Splatoon 2. End quote. Okay, so the funniest thing about this is that it means that Splatoon 2 stores your online ranking locally.
That's fucking retarded. Nintendo is such an incompetent fucking company.
Yeah.
They're so out of touch with the goddamn world.
And they're also so worried about the untouchable purity of Pokemon that, heaven forbid, you trade someone a Pokemon.
Get that King's Rock back.
And then you both have the same Pokemon? Say it ain't so.
Oh my God, the sanctity of the game.
No cloning, please.
Listen, Okay, things like possibly getting your item back that you traded to another player. Guys, we've been doing online fucking games for 20 years. Okay? World of Warcraft figured this out 2 decades ago. What in the goddamn? What do you mean you're worried that I'm going to trade an item away and then revert back to an old save?
Well, they just made the game badly, and now they...
Yeah, they're fucking retarded. Okay, I can't say... This is 2018. I'm not allowed to say that.
What are you doing, man?
Okay?
What are you doing?
These guys have issues. They're so out of time. I saw this, and I was just like... I didn't read. I just saw the headline.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't read because I wanted to get your initial rage from that.
It's so fucking stupid. And they're like, okay, I'm trying to center myself here. I'm trying to bring some balance. Goose fraba, rubbing my earlobes here. That's wildly frustrating. And now that think about it like this, all the games that we actually are going to want cloud saves for, they're going to totally not have.
Well, there was a thing for there was some initial talk about Dead Cells not supporting it, but it was just like the developers have to go back and enable it, which is basically just ticking a box so that it allows you to move it from the solid state memory on the console into the servers that Nintendo has. This is so weird.
I guess we need to back up and look at this from a usability standpoint. For me, cloud saves are only there so that I can back up and have a backup elsewhere so when my Switch inevitably dies because Nintendo can't design hardware to save their life. My Switch will crack or melt. Is anyone actually going to use cloud saves as a way to play between 2 Switches? It's so hard to actually have your user profile on 2 Switches because you have to completely sign out of one Switch, not even have it on a console. So it's totally not feasible. This is only a backup solution.
Yeah.
And because some games aren't supporting it, it's just a completely moot point.
Yeah.
And the fact that Nintendo stores your online ranking locally for Splatoon.
That is insane. That is so ass backwards. I don't get it.
Does this instill in you any hope for their online service, guys?
I never thought for a moment that their online would be different once you started paying for it.
Vape life? Andrew! Just lay it down!
No.
It's going to leak.
You're going to get his quick wet.
It was an accident. I'm sorry.
You're not paying $20 a year for a good thing, okay? You're paying it for a mediocre thing and access to 10 NES games you don't want to play.
What's fucked up about it is they're and the thing that pisses me off about Nintendo stands, and don't get me wrong, I'm a total Nintendo fanboy.
Here for it.
But every Nintendo fan in the world being those of us who were saying we've had online for almost 2 years, but now they're going to extort us so we can play the games we've been playing this whole time.
They said it from the beginning that it was supposed to come out last year, but they put it off because they're so inept at employing it.
Sure, but it's not just the fact that they're literally extorting us now to retain functionality of a device we've had for 2 years, but they're doing it poorly. They're like, give us money so that the stuff you do and is no longer going to work. But we have your money. And our numbers just went up right before the end of the quarter. So everybody's happy except for the people who fucking matter. It's fucking bullshit. Fuck Nintendo sometimes. That's how I feel about it. Andrew, what do you think?
I don't know. I pretty much just use my Switch to play indies in bed. So
I cannot see your face at all right now.
I know.
You're completely obscured.
I'm mystical. I'm mystical. I'm like Darth Sidious, You can't. If it wasn't for my nose, you wouldn't know it was me. No, I
do it.
I'm mind boggled that your rank is stored locally for Splatoon. For
it's
Pokemon, I figured it would be a case of the save is on the card, like they always do.
Right.
But I guess that's not the case with.
Can
Let's
you
Go.
even? I don't think you can write.
No, they're read only for the carts.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because they're not cartridges; they're just game cards. It's
Right,
the 3DS. I don't think the 3DS wrote to the cartridges either.
It did,
but it did.
Because I put my Pokemon games in my sister's 3DS, and my thing would show up. I couldn't do any of the online stuff because of the friend code bullshit. But yeah, I don't know. I think
it's a
weird.
security thing that they don't want it to be writable, but they save it locally, and then.
As far as anti-piracy or anti-cheating goes,
the Switch has already been hacked, and there's people who hack in Splatoon, and it makes it easier if you keep it locally, because then you can just hack your numbers real high. I mean, you're gonna get banned, but why don't they just ban the people that fuck with it via cloud saves if they're so fucking worried about that?
Exactly.
Or just change their game so that's competently made,
weird.
And you have to.
It's so weird.
The whole system where you order gear from
I don't. Yeah,
Bull Urchin
the
dude.
shit fuck the guy, the son of a bitch.
They keep your rank and stuff
Family-friendly show.
stored online anyway, and they have to use that to interact with the app. I don't understand why they made it this way.
It's
It's mind-boggling.
So intentionally obtuse. And it's not, sorry. It's not intentionally obtuse. It's because everybody at Nintendo is 60 years old. They're all a bunch of fucking boomers who haven't adequately developed a goddamn video game without the help of,
young bloods
since, the fucking 80s. It's like they're so ingrained in, I know it's like it's a culture thing and it's like the hierarchy of these corporations over there, but it's like y'all need to hire some fucking people who have developed a game in the 21st fucking century. And you need to move on with your fucking lives.
Yeah, it's all the purely internal developed studios that are kind of weird like that. Splatoon, I was kind of under the impression that it was younger people, but at the same time, who fucking knows? It's all hidden behind cloaks and shadows.
They all dress like octopus.
Yeah, they all wear that cool lab coat. But I was thinking with Pokemon that they wouldn't allow the cloud save because they wanted to keep pushing Pokemon Bank. Another service they charge for that is weird.
Shady anti-consumer practices.
I don't know. I spend $20 like a week on shit I regret. So spending $20 a year.
No one's arguing $20 a year is a great price.
I bought beer in a baby cart last night. Find it on Twitter.
At Chavez.
Yeah, got a little self. Gotta put a self plug in
Who's
there.
the shill now, you bitches?
I want to take this load off your shoulders.
Oh
Take this
my
load.
gosh. Well, now that you guys have topical
Fucking ropes, dude.
now that my blood pressure is through the fucking roof.
Why don't you calm down with something that you actually wanted to start with?
God damn it. I wanted to start this show off 16 minutes ago with a little introduction, as usual. I need Andrew to shill our social media.
Console underscore Crusade on Twitter.
Okay, whoa.
Okay, Nick, can you shill for the podcast?
I wasn't ready.
Okay, I'll do it this time. You can find our Twitter @. Oh my god.
My turn. So
Fucking what?
Nick is done right now. You can find the Console Crusade on Twitter @console_crusade. You can find me on Twitter @ejiggle. You can find my guy Nick on Twitter @presh_till_death. Find us, write us. Questions, comments, concerns. That is going to be feedback@consolecrusade.com. And you know what? We've got a little bit of listener mail right now.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this email is not signed by anybody, but it says, "Hey, Console Crusade, I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller of the radio. My name, Fatima Buhari, most legitimate daughter of the president of Nigeria. I have need of a gate to video gamers because feminism. And such, okay, sorry, hold on. In such misogynistic times, can be hard at times." I'll get through it.
I would not be able to read this out
1
loud.
second. The only way we can save our nation is to pay PAL 1,000 0.0 to the appropriate donation. And thank you for the immediately send. Otherwise, there will be consequences. Winky frowny face. Well, Fatima Buhari, thank you for writing in to the podcast. We appreciate that. Unfortunately, we're going to have to decline your request for $1,000.
Dude, there will be consequences.
There will be consequences.
Will never be the same.
Yo, that was a time warp. We just blasted from the past, baby. And we're here today to salvage an episode of the Console Crusade that will be lost to the annals of history.
They said it couldn't be done.
But it's being done right now. That was the part where you're supposed to say, "Who's anal?" And I say, "It's anal, dumbass."
I was gonna make that joke, but too low hanging for me. I'm much more highbrow than that.
I just quoted Employee of the Month on this podcast. We're off to a terrible start.
Really, with Dane Cook,
Dan
Jessica
Cook and
Simpson?
Jessica Simpson with those prosthetic
I've seen that movie.
ears. I was just talking about that at work the other day. We were on a shoot and the director was fucking yucking it up about how he used to work at Target and they had a secret break room that they would nap in during the day shift. I was like, "How did you get away with that?" And he explained the whole thing to me. And I was like, "Was it like Employee of the Month where they had a secret they had a secret base made out of crates. They had to take the lift all the way up, and it was like carpeted and had lights and shit. There's just like pallets surrounding them.
Such a romanticized view at retail.
I know, right? It's like, it is not that cool. Trust me.
You try, but never that cool.
No. Anyway, so I explained at the beginning of this podcast how things went totally haywire after we recorded a pretty solid podcast. We did a kind of a halfway review, midway through the game, sort of our thoughts and impressions of Spider-Man. And of course, you were in Eugene this weekend, and you watched us play, Andrew and I.
It was like watching two different Let's Plays on Twitch, but it was in person.
And also, Andrew and I are not entertaining whatsoever.
I don't know about that. Y'all are okay.
We're not nearly as cringy as some of the people out there. Did you just see that Dr. Disrespect's house was shot at or some shit?
Yeah, I did see that.
That's whack.
Yeah, that's very scary.
It's something you read on paper and you're like, oh fuck, that's funny, and then you're like, oh shit, that's a real person.
So did like someone dox him then?
I don't know
his
the
address.
details. I don't know.
It's weird. It reminded me of, who was that? Those YouTubers that got their house broken into, and they're like hiding in the closet. They called the cops.
I have no idea.
That was like earlier this year. I think it was like one of the Rooster Teeth people.
Dude, the internet's a scary place.
Yeah, but the dude who broke in ended up getting into a shootout with the police, and he died.
Wow.
Yeah.
The internet's a scary place, and it's even scarier if you exist in the real world. That makes sense.
Thank God we don't do that.
Yeah, right. We are just facsimiles of
good use of facsimile.
Wannabe podcasters and video games.
Well, we don't exist in either reality, is what I was saying. It's like, I'm not a real person or an online person.
We exist in the ether somewhere. Anyway, let's just wax about this Nintendo Direct. Let's get crazy. Let's throw out a couple of predictions, a couple of expectations. Okay. And then let's go wild card. Like the most outlandish fucking thing we can think of. Birdo is getting a standalone RPG. Would you play that?
I could go more outlandish than that if I wanted to.
So, well, I'm sure you could. I don't have an imagination.
Well, first off, just go for a Birdo visual novel.
Oh god, that could actually be. That's like some rated R shit, dude.
Or I've also heard some people's their dream game for Waluigi being either like a house restoration sim or a dating sim. Which is terrifying to me, really.
Dude, can we get an Ace Attorney parody with Waluigi starring as the lead character?
We can't even get an Ace Attorney game. Although I think they're like working on announcing a new one. I've heard some rumblings about that. I think that might be a TGS thing.
It's not got Waluigi, so I don't care.
Valid. Totally valid.
At the end of the day. So we kind of talked about this on the last podcast that no one will ever hear because it's gone forever, so I'll quit bringing it up. But Nintendo was supposed to have a Direct last week as of the time of this recording. But because of the earthquakes in Hokkaido, they postponed it out of respect, presumably. It's been postponed and with no release date. You know, for all we know, Nick, what's going to happen is this is Tuesday night we're recording. We're going to release midday Wednesday. Chances are, by the time this pod is released, the Direct will have already happened.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to happen on Thursday.
Thursday. What was the original release date?
Last Thursday.
Okay.
So the 6th. And there's been someone data mined Splatoon, and there's some patch going in effect on Thursday. So, and they have to do it before middle of the month because they said that the online would be going to affect the second half of September. So you'd imagine that's like easy. They're going to talk about the next 10 games that are added to the NES virtual console-esque thing that they're doing with that, but maybe they can just pull a good guy Nintendo and make something that we're actually excited about, but I don't foresee that happening.
Has that ever happened? Has that ever happened?
I'm trying to think.
You're thinking of your face. It looks like you're in pain right now. Trying to figure this one out.
That's the face of a Nintendo fan.
So the mental gymnastics you're doing to try and define exactly what excitement is, you know?
Depends on what the definition of is.
Right. No, I think definitely a large portion of this Direct is going to be focused on the online, and it's going to be a bunch of just banal bullshit, right? I totally did not say that word appropriately.
It's banal.
Yes.
The fire rises.
That was a Batman joke. Yeah, so I don't know. It's gonna be a bunch of fucking like, technical shit and back end stuff and subscription service this and subscription service that. And of course, like you said, they are gonna name a couple of games that are available for the stupid fucking rent a library, but it's not a rental library. They give and they take, and it's stupid. We're all gonna leave disappointed. Can we at least say that? Am I being too negative in saying that?
Yeah, because I don't know what expectations anyone would or should have. So for me, I'm looking at this direct. I see 35 minutes. I say that's a long time, but that doesn't really lend me to think that it's going to be a lot of good stuff. It's going to be a lot of stuff. And we've already seen a lot of the third-party announcements that would have been like a direct, and then, oh, it's dropping today. Like Mega Man 11, that demo came out on Thursday. So that would have been definitely a thing that was in the direct. Another 30 seconds for Final Fantasy 15 HD Pocket Edition or whatever, or Civ 6. I mean, all these games that have been announced in the past weekend would have been in the direct, but who knows if they're re-editing it so they're not doubling down on the things that have already been announced. I don't know. I don't really have high hopes. I never have high hopes. So that's whenever they do something nice, then I'm pleasantly surprised, you know?
If you just keep the expectations at zero, I think it'll be a good portion dedicated to the online service, a good portion dedicated to 3DS games, which nobody fucking wants. I understand that there's this whole subset of people who own 3DS games, but what Andrew brought up was the games you want exist already. Like, we don't need more new games. Bring them to the Switch. If you want to buy a 3DS for $100, like Andrew's sister did, please, by all means, do that. But we do not need to keep supporting that system. There are 1,000 games, 1,001 games, and a bunch of great Nintendo first-party titles that they can play. If you bought a 3DS or a 2DS right now, in your lifetime, you would not be able to beat all the 3DS games. Stop giving us 3DS games.
If they're announcing new games, they're going to be new games from third-party developers. So it's not really Nintendo prolonging the lifetime of a system that we don't really care about. It's more just Atlas and Square and other third-party Japanese developers have these game like systems in place, so they just can keep iterating and making new ones because people are still buying them. So it's not me that's buying new 3DS games and prolonging the life of the system.
Last time we got this Luigi's Mansion 3DS port, and I made some joke about I can't wait for a Mario Sunshine 3DS remake. I think it was Chris in the group chat. He's like, there's no way that the 3DS can run it. I was like, listen, if the fucking 3DS can run Xenoblade Chronicles, it can run Mario Sunshine. And I bet your ass that's exactly the kind of move Nintendo would make, is porting this GameCube game people have been clamoring for a remake or virtual console edition of, and they're going to put it on the fucking 3DS. Because that's what they do. That's what they do. So I expect some of that in this direct. Who knows? Maybe we will be pleasantly surprised, and we're just going to get 6 new game announcements and a bunch of Smash characters.
Well, I don't disagree that Nintendo would do something like that. I feel like there's a certain tier of GameCube game that they would put on the Switch or on the 3DS. And I don't think Mario Sunshine, I think it's too high tier of a game for them to put on the 3DS. I think they would rather do what they did with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess as opposed to what they did with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Well, I'm curious, and I don't know if there's any documentation that might back this theory up, but I get the sense that Nintendo is not particularly proud of Mario Sunshine. Mario Sunshine came out, and then Nintendo, I don't know if it was the sales, but the GameCube didn't sell well, so it couldn't have just been the sales of the game. If it was reception, I don't know. But they kind of tucked their tail and ran, and we didn't get a 3D Mario game after that for how long? I think that kind of scared them a bit, and that's kind of the black sheep of the Mario family. And I think Nintendo sort of hesitates to want to, glorify that particular title and give it a remake.
It's not very good when you compare it to other Mario games, and they've been open with the fact that that game was rushed out.
Yeah.
They didn't give it the level of polish that they wanted to. Nintendo is very well known for holding games back forever until they get it just right and get it to a point where they want to release it. So I think they're in dire straits with the GameCube, and they didn't have a Mario game at launch, and that was one of the few times they had done that with a system. Might be the first time, really. I think that was the first time.
That is not what hurt the GameCube. I mean, look at the Wii U that launched with a Mario game, and
it's not hurt the GameCube, but it hurt Mario.
I guess I'm not a game developer, so I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about. But looking at that game, would another year of development really help that game?
There were areas cut out of the game. A lot of the blue coin challenges were very slapdash. It kind of reeked of a game that needed a little more time in the oven. I mean, the base gameplay is fine, and it's still a great game. It's just not a great Mario game when you compare it to everything else in the series.
I feel like I would still probably rather play Sunshine than like Mario 64. Listen, I'm notorious for just being absolutely terrible to Mario 64, but I'd be curious to see how I'd feel about it if they gave it a 2018 remake, a full ground up Crash Bandicoot Spyro Reignited, like complete remake with modern controls and physics. Like, would I like
That'd
that
be
game?
interesting. You couldn't change the physics though.
Say they remade Mario 64 in the Odyssey engine.
They couldn't do that. You'd have to redesign all the levels because there are jumps that are specifically tailored for how far your jump is and everything.
Oh God, designing games is hard.
Yeah, so if you change one aspect, that changes the entire design of the rest of the game. You couldn't do that.
Okay.
If anything, you could change the camera controls and the look of the game, but you couldn't change how it moves and how it controls. That'd be impossible.
I feel like the camera is like the majority of the issue I have. It just makes it so hard to play. And not to mention the N64 controller is atrocious.
They designed the controller for that game.
Oh, that makes it better? I mean, no.
I mean, that's just the game was designed around that. It's like trying to play Ocarina of Time on anything that's not a 64 controller doesn't feel very good, in my opinion.
I think that's just because that's how you best remember it.
It's also having 6 face buttons, you know?
Yeah, but the 3DS sort of mitigated some of that with the touchscreen and swapping items out, you know.
I still don't like it that much. That was the biggest like pain point for me was I have to constantly swap around these items.
Fair.
I mean, sure, you still had to do that with on N64, but you could have your 3 and just sort of stick with that for a while, as opposed to swapping around, 2? That was kind of weird. But 3DS also improved other stuff by letting you equip and unequip your iron boots when you're doing water puzzles. So, pros and cons.
Right. I guess that's apples to oranges here, but man, when I played through Wind Waker on the Wii U, having the gamepad and being able to just touch and swap my weapons out instead of having to go to the pause menu and reconfigure things every time I had to swap to a new weapon. And there are some dungeons you're going through 4 different weapons or different items, and it's pause every time you got to swap something out. I like that convenience factor. I can just tap it with my finger and boom, there you go. But I digress. I would be curious to see a Mario 64 remake. I would. As harsh as I've been on that game, and as much as I don't get why people think it's the best Mario game of all time. You're fucking crazy. You were 5 when you played that game if you think it's the best game of all time. Or the best Mario game even of all time. Mario Odyssey was a lot of fun. And I think Mario 64 is probably equally as fun if I were to play sort of a refresh of it.
Yeah, and a lot of people that think it's one of the better Mario games also, that was the first time there was a good 3D game.
I mean, Mario 64 is super important. They invented everything about 3D games. The way you control it and the way the camera operates and the way your character navigates that world, like that was Nintendo. The joystick, man. Revolutionary. So I don't want to diminish its importance, but anyway, this is the Mario 64 podcast.
Wahoo.
So during this direct, we are inevitably, like you said, going to get the next batch of the rentals, the free games you get for signing up for this service that may or may not have online multiplayer, may or may not have cloud saves. I don't fucking know.
Well, they do have online multiplayer.
Will every game on this service have online multiplayer or just select games?
Well, every game that has multiplayer will have online multiplayer, and games that don't have multiplayer have the option. So it's like it's like a pass the controller kind of thing. So if I'm playing Legend of Zelda and you could watch me play, and then I can just press a button and then you'll be playing. So we can do life or level, which is pretty sick. Honestly,
the power of the internet. That is cool.
Via the power of the internet.
But that's like an ancillary thing, right? Where that's
no, yeah, it's a cute thing. It's not like a selling point. It's just, hey, do you want to play this game? Well, here's this cool new feature.
Well, Nintendo is going to use it as a selling point. Like,
well, yeah, but like I'm saying what it actually is, which is not a selling point.
Exactly. And that's it is a cute thing. That's great. But if that's all you're giving me, hey, pay us all this money to again, like I said earlier, we're extorting you for this cash, for this thing that you've had for 2 years, and now it's not going to work anymore. But here's this fucking Zelda you can play online with your friends. Like, I don't want that.
It's always hard. I can't imagine running a platform like that where you previously had something be free and then start charging money for it. That's a huge pain point. I remember there's a huge backlash when PS3 started charging for online when they moved over to PS4. But PS3 Online was terrible, and PS4 Online is better.
It's way better. What happened was they finally started charging, and they dedicated the proper resources to it, and PSN became a quality service.
I don't know enough about it to really denote what makes it more quality than any other thing.
I remember early in the PS3 days, it was a nightmare. It was slow. It was laggy.
Well, they used a web browser for their store, didn't they?
Yeah, it was just a nightmare. And then they had the security breach, and it was down. Remember that? It was down for months. There was no PSN. You couldn't play online.
Yeah, that was like 2010?
Yeah, it was just a nightmare. And so they started charging, and things improved. But that's because you've got a quality company who, they've done this, and in the areas they hadn't, they dedicated their resources to finding and bringing people in who had done it. Nintendo's not going to do that. You got a bunch of 60-year-old fucking dudes coding video games by hand still, trying to implement an online system. They're scribbling down, C++ on, yellow legal pads.
Excuse me, they're coding in assembly. They're doing straight to machine logic. They're in binary.
Come on, it's 00110. Right. Well, give me a couple of games that you think we're going to get announced. What games do you want? What do you want to see? Like, what's that killer app?
Well, those are two different questions completely.
Give them both to me sequentially here.
I think it's a definite thing that we're going to see Yoshi, and we're going to get a release date for that, or a release window. We haven't seen that since E3 last year.
The crafty world.
Crafted world.
Okay.
That'll be cute. That'll be fun. Early next year is looking like Yoshi and Fire Emblem. And then...
It's going to be a down year, man.
I mean, what was the beginning of this year?
Mario? Is that this year?
That was end of last year. That was October last year.
It was October. Jesus. I thought it was March this year. Zelda was March last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Tennis was like June.
That is not a big game.
Or May.
No.
I mean, it's sold over 1 million copies, so I think that's a fairly big game.
Not a system seller, rather.
Well, what's a system seller, dude? We've had this conversation 1 million times, which is as many people who bought Mario Tennis, okay? Just saying, if a game sells 1 million copies, that's a $60 million game.
Fuck.
For all intents and purposes.
For all intensive purposes, you ignorant slut.
Sorry, I misspoke. But yeah, I mean, this year's been really pretty weak, all things considered. Next year's going to be probably a lot better because we're going to get Fire Emblem, probably going to get Bayonetta 3, which isn't like a huge game, but the people who love it. And then good chance of Metroid Prime and the real Pokemon game.
Metroid. Metroid's not going to be next year, man.
I think it's a good chance for that.
I think we're going to get a Metroid Prime trilogy announcement. The rumor mill's been churning, Nick.
See, the problem with the rumor mill when it comes to Nintendo products is that it's also just an I wish this is true mill.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the origin point,
There's also all these rumors about Animal Crossing being announced at this next Direct.
Oh, that's on my wish list. That's all I want. Just give me a splash screen that says Animal Crossing. Give me a fucking release date and send me on my way. I don't need all the frills and the bullshit. I've done this dance, okay? I've been to this rodeo, all right? And that bull is stuck its horn right where the sun don't shine, all right? I don't need any more.
Give me those bells, baby.
Baby.
Let me go to Tortimer Island, catch some bugs.
Oh my God, man. Animal Crossing on the 3DS. New Leaf. Great game. I played a lot of that game. I love that game. But I feel like as the further I get from my time having played it, I've sort of built up in my head what that game actually was, and that's influencing my expectations. And I know if I went back to that game, I'd probably have more issues with it than not. And I'd have the nostalgia for it, but I would, start to sort of pick that apart. And so I think I'm just setting myself up for failure with this inevitable Animal Crossing Switch release. So
I don't know how you can be so pessimistic as a person and then get your hopes so high.
That's my cycle, right? Why do you think I'm such a bitter person?
I think you just like being bitter.
I'm angry all the time.
It's comfortable.
But then getting excited makes me feel like a person. So then the more I build my expectations, the more excited I am for something. But then it just lets me down and I crash and burn even harder.
I think you just crave that disappointment.
Listen, I'm a masochist.
Because you're used to being disappointed.
Hurt me, baby. Nintendo, get me where it counts. Sorry. Oh,
now, Animal Crossing would be awesome, and that would be a really great summer game for next year.
What's the one game you want? Not what you think. Just what's the one game you want? Like Star Fox, Mario Party crossover. Like I don't know, something weird. What do you want?
We still haven't seen that retro game, the rumored Grand Prix Star Fox game.
Yeah, but who gives a shit?
I'd be interested to look at it.
What do you want, Nick? What would make you shit yourself? What would make you just scream like a little kid on Christmas morning? Two very comparable things.
A real Paper Mario.
Oh, I wasn't even on my radar. I just had
That's like the only thing that I can think of that'd be like truly a gobsmacking moment.
oh, my nipples are tingling.
Smack me right in my gob.
Right. Where's the gob? Can you point to the gob?
It's like a bigger version of a goblet. You know, it's a really big cup.
Where are you hiding your really big cup?
I can't show it to you because it's thoroughly smacked.
Oh.
Yeah, just imagine. I mean, Color Splash looked really great, had wonderful writing, but looked really boring in every other aspect. And I just want to return to form. I think everyone's been asking for that for years. Nintendo's been on the streak of being somewhat like amicable and like actually giving us what we want.
Yeah, I mean,
so who knows?
They've been pretty adamant that Mario and Luigi is the Mario RPG series, and they intentionally transitioned Paper Mario, trying to find its own genre, finding its own thing.
They've been putting the Mario and Luigi team just on remakes for the past 2 entries.
They had that weird the Paper Jam with the Paper Mario crossover, and so that was
which didn't do well, didn't review well. I don't think it sold very well compared to Dream Team.
Right.
Which is the first 3DS one. But then they've just been they did the Superstar Saga remake and then Bowser's Inside Story remake, which I think is out. I thought there was a 3DS game that was announced for release in 2019.
I don't recall, but I remember being thoroughly confused.
But I thought that might have been Luigi's Mansion, but then they got pushed back to October of this year. So who knows?
I don't know. I just remember being confused that they were remaking a game that you can play on a current generation handheld. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I got another one. WarioWare for Switch would be another really hype one.
I feel like that's right around the corner. WarioWare on the 3DS just came out. It did well. It reviewed well. You know, I don't know how the sales actually were, but I think it's clear to Nintendo that there's a demand for this title.
And they still like making it, which is more important than the demand for them.
Which is, you know, it's understandable, but it's silly. It's like, it's WarioWare. Of course we want a WarioWare game. You've made one on every single platform. When's the last time, what platform didn't have a WarioWare game? Was the last one the Game Boy?
Well, Wii U, they had like a weird kind of
It was a WarioWare game. It was a WarioWare
really
game.
A WarioWare game. What was it?
No, Game and Wario.
Game and Wario. Yeah, that was like a weird thing, wasn't it? It was like WarioWare DIY on the DS, where that was a weird thing.
It was WarioWare with a gamepad.
And 3DS didn't have a WarioWare until they got the collection, I don't think.
Got it though, right?
I mean, sure. It's like Game Boy Advance didn't have a real Mario game.
You're right. It was remakes and...
It was all remakes, and then
ports
that Donkey Kong and Mini Mario's weird puzzle game.
Yeah.
Doesn't count.
No. Very strange. I mean, to be fair, did they need a standalone Mario game? They released 4 ports. That was a dream come true 20 years ago. 16 years ago. I don't know, whenever the fuck that was. I was like, I'm playing a Super Nintendo game, but in my pocket.
You know what's sometimes better than an old game? A new game.
It depends what we're talking about.
Was everyone stoked to get Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD instead of the Zelda game that was shown at Game Awards in like 2013 or whatever that was? It took them 4 years to put that game out.
I'm trying to think. They released it. They had a demo, like a proof of concept.
It was at like E3 2012 with that. There was that video of Link riding on the horse and then shooting the Guardian in the eye with the Guardian arrow, which was sick. That was like 2011 or 2012. That was like 2012.
So long ago.
That was a long time ago. That was so tight.
See, the thing is we got the HD remakes as holdovers. Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game, and it came out on the Wii U. You know, of course, they had to expedite the Switch's production and end the Wii U's life early, but you know, for all intents and purposes, the fucking Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game, and it came out on the Wii U. So getting 2 Zelda remakes as a holdover is totally fine. Like, give me 2 more Zelda remakes while we wait 6 years for another Zelda game. Please.
What would you want remade?
I want Wind Waker again. Just port that out. That's an easy fix. Done. Sell it to me for $20 on the eShop and let me fucking play it again.
I don't need to buy it again. Also, they wouldn't sell it for $20.
No, I'll spend $60 on it. I want to play
they
Zelda on the
toilet. They wouldn't sell it
toilet.
for 60 either. They'd probably sell it for 40.
Fine, even better.
Because wasn't it originally 40 on the Wii U?
I couldn't fucking tell you. Eventually, it became a Nintendo Select for 20, I think.
I don't believe that. I don't think they've done any of the remakes as a selects.
I'm gonna find out right now.
Well, they did actually the 3DS remakes as selects.
It was.
I don't remember Wind Waker being a select though.
It is Donkey Kong and 3D World and Zelda and
How about 3D World 2
hell yeah.
for the Nintendo Switch?
Please, 3D World.
No, 3D World 2, a sequel.
Period.
Move away from remakes. Start just doing sequels.
Yes, 100%. But at the same time, I want that Mario World, 3D World Wii U. Like, I want people to experience that. I want people to know that, hey, this is actually the best Mario game ever. It takes the best of the 3D Marios and takes the best of the 2D Marios. And
Until you've played the Galaxy games, I don't think you should start bandying about that it's
okay.
the best one ever.
Okay. You're right. That's my bad.
How about that? How about a remake of Galaxy 1 and 2 in HD? It's already running on the NVIDIA Shield in China.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be an easy fix. Like those graphics, it's not like you have to remake a bunch of assets. You just have to.
No, dude. They scale so well. You just do the UI and like some texture work and you're golden.
Yeah. You know those assets are high quality enough to just pour it out at 720p. It's not like those assets are just janky little pixely messes. It's just it would take no time at all. I mean, they remade Wind Waker in 6 months. The 6-month dev cycle before that thing was out on Wii U. Like easily the Galaxy games they could whip out their butts.
I'm gonna say there's a lot more textures in Galaxy than there was in Wind Waker.
Sure, but from a gameplay standpoint, how are the motion controls going to work? Have we successfully implemented the Wii's motion controls with the Switch?
I think a lot of the motion controls implementation in Galaxy could easily be done with gyroscope.
Okay,
Because a lot of it is, so there's a waggle for an attack, and then there's, similar to in Odyssey, when you are throwing your hat at the forks and climbing up walls, there's some stuff like that in Galaxy, which is using the pointer, and then there were 2D kind of areas where you're slinging around these stars, and it's this physics kind of puzzle. But I feel like you could probably manage to do that just with gyro aiming. I don't think it's that intensive.
right. Well, speaking of sort of implementing the Wii controls,
Skyward Sword
Skyward Sword, that could be. I mean, that is the next remake they would do.
for 3DS, the only one that hasn't been remade at this point.
So that's next up. What if we get that next week or whenever this direct is?
That'd be cool. I'd be into that. It's one of the few Zelda games I haven't played.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of Zelda games that I haven't beat. But that's one that I've actually not even started. Probably the only one that I'm thinking about it.
The DS games, did you play those?
I played the first one, so Phantom Hourglass. Never played Spirit Tracks. Do those count though?
I'd count them.
Do those count? I mean, as I'm a Wind Waker top 10 game of all time, not even I wanted to play those games. You know what I'm saying?
No, it counts. They're not like a party game. It's not like Triforce Heroes. Single player game, you know?
I'd almost rather play Triforce Heroes.
Don't let Leaf hear you say that.
I know. He's going to be texting me after this. Did you see Triforce Heroes? He's going to be writing into the pod. All right? Barit me, Buhar, or whatever the fuck.
No, it'll be the first time for Leaf writing in. We still haven't gotten an email from him.
That's true.
Our friend Leaf.
All right, yep, nope. Spoiler alert. All right. $10,000.00. Okay.
Good throwback.
Yeah.
All right, how about you? What are some things that you're anticipating or hoping for?
As far as specific titles or just sort of the ebb and flow of the direct? Because,
Yes.
okay, so it's going to be a third online. It's going to be a third 3DS, and it's going to be a third Smash Bros.
Just Smash Bros?
Yeah. And I initially
I don't
thought...
agree with you at all.
I know you don't. I initially thought that they wouldn't touch Smash Bros. But I'm looking at it, and I feel like it's just going to be, 22 disappointing minutes, right? And then they're going to have to redeem themselves and give us some stuff. It's not necessarily going to be exciting character reveals. This is going to be technical stuff and, odds and ends and bits and pieces. But I think we're going to see plenty of Smash just because they have to. Like, they can't do a 35-minute direct and not give us anything, right? Either that or they're going to not talk about it at all, but then they're going to give us one just insane reveal. We're going to get that Skull
I think
Kid
that's
reveal.
more likely.
Okay. And I'd be okay with that. But then it begs the question, like, what are they going to talk about? Like you said, all the games they would have or should have talked about, sort of everything leaked or was announced earlier this week. So
I think there's a good likelihood that when they announce the new timing for the direct, that it'll be a shorter direct.
yeah, we'll see.
So if they cut it down to like 25 minutes,
Either that or they're not quite, so much announcements as they are just like Civ 6. Here's 9 minutes on that because Nintendo.
They wouldn't do that.
Wouldn't they? I mean, I don't know.
I'm saying they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
That's not a prediction. That's just my opinion.
Well, I would say as far as dream titles go,
Animal Crossing, obviously. Splatoon 3.
no, I don't give a fuck about Splatoon 3. Like, whatever. I don't need another port of that game. Like,
Well, maybe Splatoon 3, they'll store your rank in the cloud.
oh, that's what it is. They're just gonna build a whole new game to fix the one they fucked up. Fucking ridiculous. Fucking cloud saves, dude. That's goddamn bullshit. What a bunch of incompetent old fucks over there.
Hold on, I have to
Nintendo.
delete my rank.
Oh my god. Yeah, I just gotta roll my save back. Oh, look at me. Fucking whatever. Paper Mario, like you said, Animal Crossing, of course. I feel like the things I would really want, there's no chance I'm getting. Like, I want a proper Red and Blue remake, but we're getting Let's Go in 2 months. You know what I mean? Like, that'll never happen. Give me a Gen 1 and 2 proper 3D remake. Awesome. Great. Nope. Probably get fucking Pokemon Stars or some bullshit. Like, anyone wants that? Come on. Come on. Do you think we're going to get any Pokemon news? Do you think we'll get a taste of the next mainline RPG? Or do you think that's a separate thing that the Pokemon company will do?
I think it's a separate thing. Seems like Nintendo doesn't generally do announcements for Pokemon stuff
Yeah.
until Pokemon Company's already done their own direct.
Well, Nintendo did do the direct where the guy from Pokemon Company popped up and was sitting there at his desk pretending to work on a game that hadn't been started yet.
Yeah. Scribbling on a napkin.
Yeah.
Eevee and Pikachu? Question mark.
Yeah, right? Oh my god. I don't know. Part of
we
me,
did see that special edition console for Let's Go.
that's the laziest fucking thing I've ever seen. A couple of shitty Pokemon decals on a black Switch dock.
They also have the back of the Switch is also custom.
Just a couple of weird decals on the black Switch. It's not creative, man. They have these amazing 3DS variants. Like 100 of them.
Did you look at all the images, or did you just look at the ones that I posted?
Yes, I looked at all the images with the Pokemon on the back, and it just
Okay, I'm just double checking.
It looks cheap. It looks like something some fan made. I look at what Colorware is doing with their custom, Switches. Of course, they're selling them for $600.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
That's the thing.
Well, they're selling, but that's because of the manual labor. Nintendo could easily mass produce those and not, it wouldn't cost them a lick more.
Probably not.
Probably not. It would be that much harder to manufacture a purple button versus a black button.
What would you spend $600 on a purple button?
No, but again, the colorware are custom, hand painted. The labor is intensive. It takes hours. Programming a machine to fucking 3D print a new, or CNC a new fucking. It's not.
If Nintendo did, if Sony can't do it right, what makes you think that Nintendo could do it right?
They have done it. They have 100 3DS variants with different covers and different decals and different button colors and all sorts of crazy combinations. They can do it. And the Switch is even easier because it's just like a
and I
big
wonder what the
black
sales
plate.
figures on those individual special variants are, if they're even worth it.
Clearly it's worth it because they are still manufacturing 3DS variants in 2018. 7 years later, 2 years after the Switch launched. We're still getting fucking variants. They just announced another one.
So maybe in 7 years, you'll get some variants on the Switch once they figure out that pipeline. It's a completely different product.
I just have a hard time believing that a $1 billion company can't find someone to manufacture purple buttons or a white fucking shell. China started doing it a year and a half ago. You know what I mean? And they're fucking quality products. The Joy-Con and Switch shell replacements.
They're not that quality.
They are the most quality secondhand part ever for any. Listen, I've done a ton of console mods. I've bought a bunch of knockoff controller. Like, dude, those are the best non-OEM replacement parts I have ever experienced. They're still not perfect. They're not, one for one. But the fact that they were A, manufactured so quickly, and B, hold up as well as they do, like it's pretty shocking. Yeah, they're not as good, but let's be honest. They figured it out in a fucking sweatshop somewhere in China. Nintendo can figure it out.
I don't know what they figured out. I'm assuming it's rampant in China when you have something made there, is that they'll take the molds or whatever and they'll shop it out, and they'll have other companies like make the same thing and then just sell it for dirt cheap because they don't pay their labor or anything.
I'm not saying that it would be, cheap for Nintendo to do it or cheaper. I'm just saying they can do it if they wanted to, but instead of putting out these lazy half-ass, like, here's a brown Joy-Con. Oh, guess what? We have brown Joy-Cons. Let's throw Eevee on it now. Ooh, special edition. I don't know. It seems lazy to me. It's not very spectacular. But the Labo one was boring. I mean, at least the Labo one was all another color, right? Like, this one was at least tried to be like, this is different to some degree. Of course, it's got the shitty Labo logo, and it's poopy brown, you know, but...
I don't know. I thought the Let's Go Switch was more appealing than the Wind Waker Wii U, which I think was the only special edition Wii U.
Yeah, I agree. The special edition Wii U is very disappointing. I own that one, but I only own that one because that was sort of what was available, and I wanted Wind Waker. But yeah, it's a shitty gold decal around the gamepad. It's just black.
That's it.
That's it. It's terribly lazy. Terribly lazy. Talk about an easy fix. They could have put the Wii U out in 7 different colors. It wouldn't have cost them anything. It's just one fucking piece.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that the special edition 3DSs are that appealing. And also, I don't want to be collecting a $200 device. And the Joy-Cons are kind of like the peak of that, where I'm like, oh, I'd spend $80 on a pair if I really like the colors.
Right.
But
oh well, we're going to get another special edition Switch announcement at this Direct. All right? It's going to be...
Well, it's already been announced, so...
We're going to get another one, Nick. We're going to get another one. This time
it's like, say, hey, we did it.
It's going to be Waluigi's mustache on the back of
there's also going to be the Smash Bros. Special edition, which is already leaked.
Did that leak?
Yeah, that leaked like a couple weeks ago and was like further...
The proper Switch?
Emboldened, like, lended more credence to it when they showed the Let's Go one. But it's just the Smash symbol on the Joy-Cons.
Wait,
and then
what?
Smash Bros. Pre-installed.
I got to find this. I didn't see that.
And then there's like the dueling character portraits on the dock. I didn't see the actual back of the console.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Again, looks like a lazy decal. So much potential there. So much potential. I mean, it's cool, but
I don't know what else you would really do with the Joy-Cons.
Dude, give me that jet black. Jet black with a stark gold symbol.
I don't want a black controller that's special edition. I just want a black controller. That shouldn't have to be like a limited thing, you know? It's going to be scalped up and I have to spend $150 on it.
Listen, man, I want my GameCube Joy-Cons, okay? That's what I want.
Well, let me tell you about a website that will sell them to you for $300.
Wait, actually? Oh,
Probably
sorry.
Colorware.
Not colorware. I mean actual GameCube controller, but in Joy-Con form. Imagine that.
But how? The size is all wrong.
The size is wrong. They would stick off kind of weird, but they could still make the rails to fit and slide in. It would just kind of stick out over the edge and be bulkier, and you know they could fucking do it.
Why don't I just get you that GameCube keyboard? You can just use that.
Perfect. I can mod the shit out of that. Tape it. Just a little gaff tape right around the middle. Beautiful, dude. That keyboard. That's so fucking cool. What a weird product. Like,
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, man, we have to wrap up here. We've been talking for 50 minutes. I gotta get the fuck out of here. This has been a meandering episode of the Console Crusade podcast. Thanks for sticking with us despite all this nonsense. You can find us on Twitter at console_crusade. You can find Nick, my guy Nick, on Twitter at PressTillDeath. I am at eJiggle. And of course, you can email us questions, comments, concerns,
criticisms, clarifications, corrections,
possible, financial scams, to feedback at consolecrusade.com. Find us. Chow us the fuck out of here, Nick.
I don't do that anymore.
You obstinate fuck.